Greetings and welcome to a brand new segment I'm bringing to you today called Who Did It Better, America or Japan? Now, sitting before you are two collector figures from filmed from the same series but are two different series. Japan series, Tokumo Sentai Go Busters. I probably butchered the first part of that, and I'm terribly sorry to any potential Japanese audience who is watching this. And on our American side, we have Power Rangers Beast Morphers. Now, the point of this entire little video is to see whether or not which collectible is the advantages each have and the differences they each have. This is also why I didn't show this figure in my main review of this guy, because I wanted to do this separate little video entirely. So, right off the bat, I'm going to get one accessory that neither one of these are going to be sharing out of the way, and that's this one. For me, this little head is completely useless because, as I stated in my main video for him, I'm collecting these more for the Super Sentai aspect, less for the Power Ranger aspect. So for me, this head is kind of useless and it's just going to go stay in the baggie for the rest of its life. So, let's talk about an accessory these two share in common. The sabers. These two aren't terribly bad, but I have to admit, America did a bit of a better job of actually giving us a sword compared to a dagger on a very long handle. Yeah. I realized that with this, they were kind of trying to translate the toy into an action figure piece, but I really feel like America did it a little bit better on this one, just as an actual weapon. But yeah. Now, they do share a little bit of difference in paint, as you can see. Our American version is a little bit brighter. Theirs is a wee bit on the darker side. There's a lot more silver on this, and a lot more red. This does not have a lot of that, so take with it as you would say. But I have to say, I think America did a little bit better on actually making something that looks like a threatening weapon. Now, unfortunately, the comparisons kind of stop in accessory-wise, because for whatever reason, Hasbro decided to include not include the main sidearm of the Beast Morphers, instead giving the Red Ranger his exclusive weapon, which this figure did not come with one. So he gets the regular sidearm, as well as the super combined sidearm, which uses both the blade and the gun together as one big weapon. I'd imagine both the sidearm and the super sidearm are going to be released with Beast Morphers Yellow and Beast Morpher Blue. So you can have them, but it is kind of ridiculous that we don't get at least the other normal sidearm with the main Ranger. I get why they did this. The Red Rangers always get the super special gun of some kind in both Sentai and Power Rangers, but I do feel like we really should have had the regular sidearm for the Beast Morpher. So, when it comes to weapons accessories, I'm going to have to give it to the Japanese figure in that regard. But there is one thing that they don't have, which I'm kind of shocked Figuarts doesn't do: effect parts. Yes, we have effect parts for almost all of the weapons that the Lightning Collection Rangers come with. So I have to wonder why Bandai Japan does not do that. Does that fit? Yeah, it's a loose fit, but it actually works. So hey, that's interesting. Good to know for later. So yeah, when it ultimately comes to proper accessory count, I do have to give it to Bandai Japan. I think they did a much better job. Now, for the overall sculpt of the two figures, let me try to bring these in a little bit closer. Come on. They both have positives and negatives, in my opinion. I think the American version does a better job of making it seem like it's an actor in the suit, as compared to here trying to kind of make it look more like the CGI model they use for the morphing sequences. I will say, however, I don't know what it is with America, and I've only just now noticed this now that I've busted out my Japanese figures. The American figures have no necks. Like, I thought at first it was just the ones with the armor, but I've started to notice that almost all of them, outside of the monsters, outside of some of the monster bad guy figures and Lord Zed and Goldar, none of them have necks. It's really weird. So Hasbro, I think you need to increase the necks just by a couple of centimeters. You don't need to do anything crazy like this figure does. Like, it has a double jointed neck, but just a few more centimeters so it looks like it has a neck would be nice. So, do need to talk about the one downside of my review. I had mentioned how I hate that this is not pegged or glued onto the back at minimum. However, I do know why it's loose on the shoulders. The downside of the way this figure was molded, he does not have a lot of good shoulder articulation. It is very limited because of that. The normal Figuarts Super Sentai suits have this little cut in their shoulder that allows for a better range of movement, but because of these straps, he can't have that. Now, when it comes to some of the other moldings, I will say Figuarts does do a little better at making some of the details. Some of these kind of details, I don't know if I can get it to focus in on that. I don't think you can see it. He has details on the legs that you really can't see as well on the American version due to just how the suit kind of looks a little bit more like it's a person in a suit rather than a plastic toy. What you're going to do. However, I will give the fact that Hasbro is doing much better with the joints, because unlike here, which has these ugly black breaks the sculpt joints, here they actually even went as far as to paint the joints to match the colors. That is good. The other advantage to the way that they've painted everything is that all this red plastic, it's just red plastic. Here, all the red, like on the chest and here, it's all painted, which, if you can't tell already, I've got this big, huge scuff on the side of Go Buster Red's chest. That is super annoying and would be totally avoidable if they just used a red plastic instead of painting it red. So yeah. I also have not just now noticed when I got the figure out for review that the Go Buster Red's helmet is a slightly different color, and God, I really should have probably watched a couple of videos to double check this. I'm not sure if that's accurate, or if my figure has suffered some kind of fading of some kind. I will, however, say when it comes to the helmet, I do think Go Busters does it a little better with having the tiger ears. You can see it better from the top. The tiger ears are a lot more pointier than on the American version, and they do have the very nice chromed visor on the helmet. Let's see if I can get this. Yeah, that's better. They have the much nicer chromed visor, which I think is a lot better in my opinion. But the other thing is that, like with the morphing brace, which I think is what it was called in the Sentai, compared to the Morpher, is a lot tinier. Now that is due to the fact that this figure is exactly 6 inches, whereas the Figuarts, I think, is scaled to the suit actor's height. So it's like just a few inches below 6 inches. Or a few millimeters below whatever. You know what I mean. So, yeah. Now, the other thing that this thing has, and unfortunately this requires me to do a scene transition, so excuse me. And here before you is one of the main flaws that I have with Power Rangers Lightning Collection. The Go Buster figure has the joints and has the hands capable of being able to point the blade forward, while the Beast Morpher does not. This is the main flaw that I have when it comes to the Lightning Collection currently. You can't have this kind of design, especially on more sword-heavy Power Ranger series like Lost Galaxy, or even just, armament heavy series like Mystic Force, which had their magic wands. I just think Hasbro really needs to change the joints up. Now, I think they have taken a bit of a step forward, and hopefully they'll listen to us about this. The Mighty Morphin Pink Ranger does have a hand joint which works in the way that would be very similar to this one. And I think that's a good thing. I honestly have to say the one thing is that what this is ultimately going to come down to is, what do you want to pay for? The Beast Morpher figure is currently available and on both Amazon, Target, Walmart, and other retailers for right around $20. I think it just depends on where you're purchasing it from, plus tax. The Beast Morpher figure, when I picked it up, was about $30 and is currently on Amazon for about $40. And Beast Morpher Red was the only easy one to pick up. I think Beast Morpher Blue was also available, but for a much shorter time. And Beast Morpher Yellow was actually an online exclusive, making her even harder to come by. So, yeah, there are pros and cons to picking up either one of these figures. And if I have to personally ask me, I do think that the American Beast Morpher is just a little bit better than the Japanese Go Buster, but only a little bit, and that's due mostly to price. I do hope that Hasbro, does get the chance to look more at these Bandai figures and potentially learns from them in changing the figures for the better. I would love to get some figures that have just a little bit better wrist articulation in a way that can help them point blades forward like this. So, that concludes my video review, and I'm sure everyone has 100 questions, but the one that I know is going to be biting on a few of your tongues is, are we ever going to see this series again? Well, that all depends on how long it takes Hasbro to release Power Rangers Samurai Gold. Till next time, I'll see ya when I see ya.